Good morning, all, and a very warm welcome to our Facebook Live this morning. We've got a great treat for you today. We have our very own Scottish chef, Louise McDonald, with us here today to chat about all the things she loves about Scottish food and give us a bit more of an insight about her. So, Louise, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
I'm fine this morning. No, it's a pleasure to come along and chat about food. I always like talking about food.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a big passion of ours too. So, Louise, for people who don't know you, would you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself?
So I live up in Aberfeldy, and I've been doing the cooking Zooms, which has been great for flavours. Really enjoyed that. And then in the summer, I cooked on the Aberfeldy staycation, and beautiful house. If you've not been there, it's just amazing. And the group were doing some painting, so they had a lovely week doing that. But I've always enjoyed cooking. I've kind of cooked from a very young age. I started off with my Blue Peter cookbook and enjoyed baking. Our house was always filled with baking. The Tetons kept getting replenished, and hospitality was a big thing in our house. And then I suppose my grandpa was a great chef. He was very adventurous in his cooking, kind of a man before his time, and he would introduce us to quite weird things as children, like we had lamb sweetbreads and we had smoked eel, which as a child it was a bit of a strange thing to have, but I suppose it started me off on the adventure of food, and I've just carried on loving cooking and cooked in many different situations, sometimes as a hobby and then more recently as a profession.
That's great, and obviously something at a very young age, which is wonderful to hear. I think that's when we obviously all get inspired at a young age. So obviously, been a bit of a busy time for you, Louise, starting up some classes with us. But in terms of in general, what have you been up to during this kind of past year, and obviously the lockdowns and things? What have you been doing to keep yourself busy?
So, traditionally, what I would do is I would be cooking for house parties. In this area in Perthshire, we have a lot of people coming up to do field sports. So the people coming up shooting and fishing, family gatherings that I would cook for them. Lots of outdoor adventures here as well. And then, of course, the flavours holidays too. So that's what I normally do, and I've done a bit of that last summer, which was great. And then in the lockdown, both my husband and I have been really busy with the local Feldy Roo, which is delivering food to those who are shielding, and the food bank here in Aberfeldy. I've also been practicing my sourdough bread, which I think a lot of people have been baking over the lockdown, and it's certainly been something that's kept me busy. And I've really enjoyed just, trying out different foods, and trying cooking with spices. And I kind of feel like not an armchair traveller, but like a kitchen traveller. I feel like we can't go anywhere, but we can cook food from different places. And I think that's what's so nice about the flavours cooking, is that, people can have the opportunity to cook with the chefs in Italy and just be transported to this, sunny place when we're stuck in Scotland, or anywhere in the UK. So being quite busy trying out new recipes as well.
Great, and I think you put that very well. Actually, I think food can transport us to different areas. I know we might be all cooped up at home, but it is a great kind of outlet for people to hope and dream, and obviously inspire by taking themselves off to somewhere else, trying different cuisines.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's been great.
And Louise, you mentioned earlier when we were chatting, actually, you didn't start off as a chef, you were a teacher. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So now I've got my teaching hat back on again for the Zoom lessons. But
Great.
yes, I was always kind of swithering between teaching and cooking. And people would always say, if you're a teacher, you get the long summer holidays. Well, the long summer holidays, I used to really enjoy cooking for people in that time. And then when I came up to Perthshire, I just thought this is the perfect opportunity to try cooking as a profession. And I did an intensive course and had a great teacher. And yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. It's nice to do a job that you love doing and that's a hobby as well. Yeah.
Great. And obviously, if anybody has any questions, please do send them through. I see Jane is on today. Thanks so much, Jane. Good morning to you too. And Jane has asked, has picked up on your comment there, will you be doing a sourdough class?
Oh gosh, well, the sourdough class would be great, but it's quite a long-winded process because it really takes kind of 5 days. You know, you have to get your starter and then keep it in the fridge and feed it, and all the different processes you have to do. But somebody actually gave me a starter last February, perfect gift. They came up to stay from a friend from Edinburgh, and they brought a starter with them. Little did I know that this was going to keep me busy for the whole year. So yeah.
Well, we maybe jot down some notes for you, Jane, and pass those on.
Yes.
So Louise, obviously all of our viewers know it's no secret we love our food here at Flavors, but can you tell us what it really is that you love about Scottish food?
Well, there's lots of things I enjoy about Scottish food. I think locally we're really lucky because we can get venison and roe deer really fresh. So there's good local produce, and in the summer we get amazing raspberries and soft fruit. And then we're kind of landlocked here in the heart of Scotland, so we're far away from the sea, but yet we've got good fish shops. And you know, down in Perth we can get langoustine, smoked haddock. Loads of places around here are doing smoked salmon, people setting up their smokeries, you know, and it's just there's just so many opportunities with the food that we've got around here. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think I'm picking up on the fact it's the produce, it's the array of beautiful fresh produce is what really kind of inspires you about Scottish food.
Yeah, no, exactly, totally. And I mean, we are lucky these days. We can get any food we want really in the supermarkets and cook any nationality of food. But it's really nice to you know, stay local if you can. And you know, we've tried to do that a little bit too.
Great. And obviously you mentioned earlier you've done a lot of kind of like dinner parties, you cook for groups who come up to your part of the world, but how have you been enjoying teaching online?
Well, it's been great. It's been really nice to do that. I've loved the interaction and really nice groups, and enjoyed a bit of chat. And I couldn't imagine that it would work on Zoom, but it does, you know, and you feel like you're cooking together. So Zoom has really transformed things for a lot of people this year, but it's great that it works for the cooking. I do have to always have a very clean kitchen, but that's a good thing.
Wonderful. And obviously the guests that have joined you so far have been really enjoying it. Just a couple of more hellos. Hi Manette, how are you? We also had a comment there, Louise, somebody who would really love to make real Scottish shortbread but is always having issues. So maybe that person might tell us what the issue is and you can set them straight. But do you have a tips for the perfect shortbread?
Well, actually, we're making shortbread. When is it? A week on Saturday, and I have got a very good shortbread recipe. So it's got corn flour in it as well as flour, and that just gives it a little bit of softness in the middle. A lot of people make shortbread by hand, you know, by rubbing in the butter and the flour, but I just use a food processor, and I would recommend that, because I suppose the thing is, shortbread's a little bit like pastry. You don't want to handle it too much. You don't want it to get too warm, you know. So yes, you'll have to join one of the baking classes, and I'll give you the secret shortbread recipe.
That's great. I'm sure obviously lots of great tips there as well. So with the online classes that you're doing, Louise, you've got 2 different classes at the moment. You were doing your Scottish cooking and your Scottish baking. Can you tell us just a little bit of a difference between the 2?
Well, the Scottish cooking is really about giving people a chance to try something different for a main meal. I know sort of over this year I've tend to cook the same things in my house and get into a bit of a rut. And sometimes it's just nice to try something a little bit different. All the recipes for the cooking are recipes that can be made with ingredients that are available, and they're quite quick to prepare. And then the baking classes, they're much more about the process of baking. So about pastry making and about making dough and making a fatless sponge. So it's the process of making all these different types of things. And I suppose some of the baking is sweet, some of it is savoury, and some of it you might have done before, but sometimes it's nice to get a new recipe as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Always nice to try something new, especially now more than ever when we've got a bit more time on our hands. And really excitingly, you've got a baking series as well. So tell us a bit more about that. That's a bit more of a course where the guests over the span of 4 weeks it is that are going to be learning some new recipes.
Yeah, so the idea is to have something that continues and you build up, some of the techniques as you go. And also it's really nice if the same group can, go on a journey with their baking for those 4 weeks and enjoy that interaction and baking together. So the first week we're going to be making winter granola. And I know granola is very easy to buy in the shops. But as with all baking, if you make it yourself, you know what's in it, and you can make it how you want it. You can make it as spicy as you want. And the other thing we're going to make is a nice ginger tray bake. This ginger tray bake that I got the recipe from my mum actually, and all my friends love it. And we take it when we're going mountain walking because it just gives you so much energy. So it's a good thing, after you've had your daily walk, nice to come back for a cuppa and a wee bit of ginger tray bake.
Yeah, that sounds like a nice little treat after all the hard work walking. Wonderful. And Louise, obviously you make them dishes sound so delicious. But with these classes and courses, who are they aimed at? Because you make it sound very easy, but is it really that easy?
Oh yes, I mean you can have loads of experience or you can have none, but the idea is that we're going to do it step by step, and you have the recipe and I have the recipe as well, and you can ask questions in between, and it's just fun. I think somebody once said to me, cooking is a game you can eat. And I just want it to be a fun time for everybody to enjoy. Some people, what they like to do is they like to watch, and that's fine, and then they like to do the cooking later on, and that works equally well. Both are good.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, that sounds really great fun actually. And as you said, step by step, really building up that knowledge is kind of the way to go, which is great. And so I know obviously your baking series starts on the 3rd of February. We still have a couple of spaces for that. And then you've also got your Scottish cooking class with some of those delicious recipes that you mentioned as well on the 13th. So that'd be great. Hopefully you can all come and join us. So Louise, obviously it was a big week here for Scottish food as well as Scottish history and culture. It was Burns night. So did you get up to anything, or had you got your haggis in the oven?
Well, this year we didn't manage the haggis actually. I think we had a venison steak, which is one of my favourites. But my husband's got a soft spot for the whiskey, so we did have a wee tipple, to toast the beard. We had to do something,
Good. No, I'm glad. And just before we finish up, Louise, always a really important question. What is your favourite Scottish dish and why?
I think that's a very hard choice because I've got a very sweet tooth. But actually, for a truly Scottish dish, I think it would be something which is sometimes a starter and sometimes a main course, and it's Cullen skink. And some people compare it to the sort of the American New England haddock chowder, but it's very, very different. Cullen skink is delicious. It's got smoked haddock in. It's really nice and creamy. It's got potatoes in. It's a meal in itself. And if you have it up in Cullen on the northeast coast, then obviously you have to taste that one, because that's super. You know, it's very tasty.
Great, yeah, no, that's definitely somewhere to put on the list then, to go up and visit there. Well, Louise, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, that was great to hear about your classes and obviously find out a little bit more about you. As I said, still a couple of spaces left on those classes, so if anyone is interested, do let us know. Well, Louise, that's great. I really appreciate your time. If anyone does have anything else they'd like to ask, feel free to drop a comment in below, and we can get that asked for you. So Louise, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you on your class on Saturday.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
Not a problem at all. You take care.
See you soon. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.